Greetings from my place to your place. You've joined Anita from Yoga on the Road, and today we're going to take a bit of a dive into Warrior II pose and making it more accessible for you. Warrior II helps to increase your endurance. It really focuses in on toning of the legs. It's a lovely pose, and it's one of those poses that works well when broken down and given different modifications and adaptations to support your body. So when I went through training, we would take a pose, we would break it down, and the breaking it down often directed our attention to different alignment cues as well as different muscle actions and joint movements. So a couple of the biggest misalignment cues in this position relate to the knee positioning. So what I mean by that is generally because we're in a side-facing pose, the knee will tend to travel out towards the big toe side, making the knee quite unstable. So the ideal position here is for the knee to be pointing towards the pinky side. Another common misalignment is that when we come into the position, the knee tracks out over the ankle, making the knee again quite unstable. So the adaptations that we're going to move through today will help you work out your optimal position in Warrior II to deter those misalignments or those general misalignments. So grab a standing position and just humour me. I'm going to guide you through setting up for a Warrior II, and then we'll start to break it down, look at some modifications that can support you in opening of your hips, in more relief in the lower back if you're experiencing compression, and we'll go from there. So stand with your feet apart. Actually, let's just take a moment to check in with our breath as well. So if you feel comfortable to close down your eyes, turn your attention inwards, let the outside world just be in the background as you bring your attention towards your feet. Notice what area or position or location of your feet you're standing on, outer part or the inner. And then have a feeling of pressing or lifting your toes and pressing the big and little toe mound of the foot into the ground, both feet. Have a feeling of connecting with your heel, whether that be the center of your heel or the sides of your heel. And then once you feel those connection points, lower the toes. Bring your awareness now to your kneecaps. And have a feeling of pulling your kneecaps up to the point where you start to feel some toning in your thighs, your upper leg muscles. Softly release that as you bring your attention to your hips, noticing the right hip and the left hip. Any differences in height. And then be aware of your whole pelvis. So that's the area in between your hips. Notice whether the pelvis is tilted forward, causing your lower spine to arch, or it's tilting back, taking that arch and flattening the back out. Be aware then of your upper back, the orientation of your shoulders. Extend your awareness to your neck. And lastly, the position of your head. And if I haven't mentioned already, is just to be done without any judgment at all of a perfect posture or a position you feel you have to be in. It's just noticing. It's an opportunity to turn your attention inwards. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Gently open your eyes and release your hands. And then you're going to step your feet as wide as you can. As wide as you comfortably can. And I'm going to guide you through the cues now that would typically set you up for Warrior II. So turn your right foot 90 degrees, so the toes are pointing forward up the mat. And then if you were to trace an imaginary line from your heel to the center arch of your back foot, that is generally or typically the alignment that you might be guided in for Warrior II. So check the position of the feet. And then start to bend your right knee so that the knee stacks over the ankle. This is a side-facing position, so the chest wants to be towards the front, and then extend the arms all the way out. Reaching from fingertip to fingertip, the torso is stacked evenly above the center of the legs. And just hold this position for just a moment, noticing what you feel in this pose. Noticing any tension points for you. Obviously, if there's any pain, you will listen to your body and make any adjustments that feel as though it supports you. Look down the line of the right arm all the way beyond the fingertips and take another 2 breaths here. Lower the arms. Extend through the front leg. Turn the right foot back so the feet are now parallel again, and we'll move to the other side. I'll add a few more cues and instructions for you. Turn your right foot 90 degrees. Again, check the alignment so your heel matches the center arch of your back foot. Bend through the knee. The knee should be tracking towards the pinky toe side of your foot. And then with the back leg, lift and engage the knee and feel the thigh tone as you do that. Your chest is center, so the weight is sitting at that center point between your feet. Inhale, extend the arms long and wide. Keep the legs toned, keep the muscles working. Be aware of your breath. Look down the line of your left arm, just beyond your fingertips. And again, take 3 breaths here. Lower the arms. Extend through the front leg, position the feet back to center and just come to stand normally again. So we're going to start with, so I asked you to take your feet fairly wide in the first setup. This time I'm going to get you to narrow your stance just a little bit. Then you'll turn your right foot 90 degrees. Your left foot stays positioned where it is. Bend your knee. Now this time you'll be bending your knee less, so to accommodate the shortening of the stance. Bend your knee so that your knee is positioned over your ankle. And then extend the arms out. So this option can also support, it can make it a more optimal pose for you to access now because we've just shortened the stance. So you'll notice there's probably not as much action happening in the hips because of the dip that's required. Just hold and feel that for 3 breaths. And then we'll move to the other side. Lower the arms, reposition the feet. Again, we're in that shorter stance. Turn your right foot 90 degrees. The back foot stays parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then as you inhale, look down the line of the left leg, bend the knee, ensure that your knee is stacked or positioned over your ankle and pointing out towards the little pinky side of the foot. Keep the back leg engaged, lift the kneecap up, feel the toning of the thigh, and then extend the arms out. And again, just take a few moments to notice how just changing the stance of this pose fits your body now. Slowly release the arms, extend through the leg, parallel the feet together, and then we'll move into the next position. And for this one, I'm going to turn front onto the camera so that you can see the position of the legs. This time we're widening the feet, which actually supports your hips. It gives your hips more space. So you'll have noticed in the first cue that I had you draw an imaginary line from the heel to the center arch of the back foot. This time I'm going to get you to draw a line from the front heel to the back heel. So you'll be stepping the back foot forward a little so that when you draw that line, it goes heel to heel. This helps with two things. It can help with your balance and it can also help in opening space in the hips. So once your feet are positioned, look down the line of your front leg, bend your front knee, ensuring that the knee stacks over the ankle and is tracking out towards the little pinky side. The upper body is centered over your legs, and then extend from fingertip to fingertip, looking down the line of your front arm. Hold for 3 breaths. Lower the arms, reset to center by paralleling the feet. I'm just going to come back onto the mat here. Shorten stance, we're taking it to the other side now. So turn the toes 90 degrees of the opposite leg now. Ensure that we're widening the feet by drawing that imaginary line heel to heel. Bend the front knee, stack your front knee over your ankle, tracking towards the little pinky toe side. And then inhale, extend the arms out. Reach from fingertip to fingertip. Look down the line of the front arm and hold here for 3 breaths. Lower the arms, extend through the leg, reposition the feet. So moving into that misalignment cue that I talked about before, about the knee kind of traveling inwards, a lot of that comes from the position of the hips. So where the hips go, the knee wants to follow. So this next adaptation is a great way to see or work out your perfect hip alignment. So grab a block, and if you have a wall space near you, we're going to use the wall. So come to the wall, you're going to place bring your toes right to the edge of the wall. Take your perfect or optimal stance that we've just worked out, and then you're going to bend the knee and position your block in between the knee and the wall. Hopefully you can see that. So once you've found that position, you should be actually holding the block against the wall. So I'm just going to step away and back here so I can show you more optimally. So you're imagining I have my block between the knee and the wall. I've set my knee up so that my knee is still stacked above my ankle but tracking out towards the little pinky side. And then you're going to orientate your hips towards the knee. All right, this is how we find our optimal knee position. So because it's a side-facing pose, you're going to start turning your twist your waist, to the side. And as soon as you start to notice that your knee wants to travel with your hips, you've gone too far. So reset. Hopefully you've still got your block between the wall. Align your hips so they're towards the knee, and then slowly start to turn the hips just until that first point where you find that the knee's wanting to travel with you, and that is your optimal place. Once you're there, you won't be able to move your front hand because it's in the wall. You can extend through the back arm. Take a moment to notice the position of your hips, because this is your ideal position when we come to freestanding the pose. Lower the arm, grab or remove the block, and we're going to set ourselves up for the opposite side now. So bring the right toes or the left toes, depending on where you were, right up to the wall. Bend your knee, take your block, and you're going to place your block between the knee and the wall so that your knee is tracking towards the little toe side, stacked above the ankle. You're going to hear this time and time again because that is your safety cue. All right, and then orientate your hips and the chest so they're towards your knee. And then squeezing the block against the wall, you're going to slowly start to turn your hips to the point where you first notice the knee wanting to travel over towards the big toe side. Then you're going to readjust the hips. That is your optimal hip position. Extend the back arm. Take a moment to create some type of muscle memory of where your hips are in space. Slowly release the arm, release your block, release your legs, and come back to standing. We're moving into the very last adaptation now. So you'll get a sense or a feeling now of what all those adaptations feel like or have changed your first experience of Warrior II. So take your optimal position, whether the feet are wider or your stance is shorter. Set yourself up by turning your right foot 90 degrees. Bend your front knee. Again, knee is positioned over your ankle, tracking towards the little toe side. Back leg is engaged. You're lifting and squeezing the kneecap up. Your thigh is engaged. And then inhale, extend out through your arms. The last adaptation here is to do with the position of your back foot. So all along we've had that back foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. I'm going to get you to turn your back foot towards the hip orientation, just so you can notice whether that makes any change in the hips, in the lower back. You can just move through that a couple of times. So just change slightly the position of the back foot, ensuring that your front knee doesn't travel with it. There's a lot going on in this pose. And then find the optimal position for your back foot that supports you. Hold that position again for 3 breaths. Lower the arms, extend through the front leg. Reposition the feet. We're taking it to the last side. Turn your right foot 90 degrees. Ensure that your stance is shortened. Ensure that your feet are widened. Ensure that once we come into the pose that you've found your optimal hip position so the knee doesn't want to travel with you. Then we're working at the position of the back foot. So sometimes it can help what you're feeling in your lower back or your hips if you just change the orientation of the back foot. Find your optimal position, extend through the arms. And then the last thing I want to talk about is different arm variations. So already we've focused a lot on the lower body. There is so much you can do with the upper body as well to help prepare you for other poses. So for example, arm positions. You might flip the front palm and extend the fingers all the way up towards the ceiling. Humble warrior or reverse warrior. If you want more action in the side waist, you might bring the front forearm down to the front leg, reach the hand up, turn the palm to face towards the head and reach the hand along over the body. We will do this on the other side as well. Come back to warrior two. We'll look at a couple of different arm variations on the other side. Lower the arms, reposition the feet, turn the right foot 90 degrees, find the correct position for your back foot, bend through the front knee. You guessed it, knee is stacked over the ankle, tracking towards the pinky toe side of your foot. Extend the arms out, warrior two. And this time you might extend the arms all the way overhead, clasp the hands, interlace them, and then push the palms up and away from you. So this is a lovely way to open the shoulders. Release the clasp of the hands. Again, you might take that lovely side opening position of reverse warrior. Let's move down yogi-like to the ground, maybe even finishing with a very slow flow. So take a big cartwheel of the arms, bring one hand down to the ground, circle the other arm overhead, bring the other arm down, and then press into the ball of the back foot. Transition however it takes you, or whatever it takes you to, come into downward facing dog. Hold downward dog for 3 breaths. Inhale, come forward to plank so that your shoulders are out over the wrists. Exhale, taking modified position, lower the knees to the ground, lower the chest to the ground. Press the tops of the feet firmly into the mat, draw the shoulders down and away from your ears. Inhale, lift and open the chest. Exhale, push back to child's pose, taking the knees a comfortable distance apart from one another, bringing your big toes together and settling your hips back towards your heels. Find your optimal position in your upper body. And rest. Take as long as you have here to integrate that practice. Taking a pose and breaking it down in that way so that you find the optimal position that fits your body is one way to definitely work on your yoga technique, and also to keep you really motivated about your practice. You know, you're taking ownership of finding what feels right in your body for you. I thank you for taking the time, joining me and practicing together. My name is Anita. I'm from Yoga on the Road. Namaste.